everyone. Welcome to EduTap. Today, we are celebrating the success of our student Sohini Bhattacharya. Sohini's approach to this exam teaches us all that smart work is the key to cracking the RBI exam in the very first attempt. Her mantra of discipline over motivation would nudge you to be consistent despite of being a working aspirant and despite any challenges that you might face. Welcome, Sohini. I'm so delighted to have you. How does it feel after I've seen a lot of your congratulatory messages coming into your WhatsApp? How does it feel to finally reach your goal?
Thank you, ma'am. So the right now the feeling has sunk in, but yes, on the day of the result, it felt surreal because the cracking at the first attempt, that's quite a dream come true moment, and yeah, that feels very good, very good. I'm very blessed currently.
Well, I don't think blessings are always has anything to do with it. You've clearly been one of the most hardworking and consistent aspirants. You've had an approach to this exam which a lot of people plan for and aspire for, but are not able to implement. So kudos on that. I know that you failed to get into the internship for the Reserve Bank in your MBA days, but now you've completely gotten over that little blip and completely made I'm sure your family and everybody, including your teachers, so proud after getting into the Reserve Bank as an officer now. So how does that feel?
Ma'am, really that feels awesome. So as you have mentioned in the during the internship day, first year of internship in MBA, I was desperately trying to get a spot in the RBI, but I
Right.
didn't make it the year before. But
Yes.
then to join the same organization as officer, as a grade B manager, that feels out of the world. So
Right. So, for the students watching, can you please tell a little bit about your academic and professional background?
sure, ma'am. Ma'am, I have done my schooling from West Bengal itself. In
Right.
my ICC, which is the 10th boards, I have scored a 96.8 percentage. And then in the 12th boards, ISC, I have a 96 percentage. Followed by this, I have done my BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from the University of Calcutta. And I have secured a third position in the department with an 87 percentage of marks. Followed that, I graduated in 2021, and then immediately after that, I joined the Indian Institute of Management, Amritsar, for my MBA program. And I graduated this year from the MBA with 80 percentage marks.
That profile should show all the aspirants that she is a person who has consistently performed, consistently been a hardworking aspirant, and you have consistently shown how dedicated to you are to any of the aims that you set your eyes to. So now that we know a little bit about your background and we know that you have the most perfect profile, one of the things that interests me the most is the fact that you've almost always consistently taken the best out of what you have, and you've always backed yourself up with stability rather than getting into an aspirational frame of mind and throwing yourself into situations where there is a possibility of getting stuck up or failing consistently. So you've always had a stable and backing up of good plan Bs. So tell us something about that.
Yes, ma'am. So right after my BTech, I was considering appearing for UPSC at that point in time back in 2021. But since you know that was a COVID struck era, so there was
Right.
a lot of uncertainty both in the market conditions in our personal lives as well. So
Yes.
at the same time, I had cracked IIM MBA. So I
Right.
thought that rather than dropping off a year for the preparation of something which is uncertain, I
Yeah.
should get into the course and then I'll plan what I can do next. So,
Perfect.
in fact, joining the IIM was also a blessing in disguise for me because there, after I got to know about this RBI Grade B examination, I got interested by finance. Even one of our faculties in IIM, he used to coach the in RBI Grade B new recruits in Reserve Bank Staff College, Chennai. He
Wow.
mentioned about this examination, and that's how actually that paved my path to aspire for this and finally to make it up to this level.
You know, you just mentioned to me how you came to know about the exam. A lot of the times I see aspirants just getting sort of seduced by the glamour of it, but I have seen in our conversations that you have categorically had a very strategic outlook of why you're approaching this. So tell the students a little bit about how they should be viewing, especially the ones who are targeting it for the very first time and they want to do things right. The real motivators for you. We've talked about how you've had conversations with your professors, your father about what kind of career you could have. So that is very, very rare to find, I must say honestly, among students to have such clarity in why they're approaching this exam. So I would love to hear it from you as well.
Right, ma'am. So, as you know, in MBA first year, we are taught a plethora of subjects like finance, HR, marketing, etc. So, I kind of got interested with finance, and I thought that what more can I do rather than being in corporate? So, that was my first exposure to RBI Grade B. Then I kind of researched into what is the work profile like, what is the job life like. Then I
Right,
found that RBI has about 30 odd departments, and
right.
if you are joining early, like 25, 26 years of age, you'll have a 34, 33 years stint of career in the Reserve Bank, and you'll actually get a chance to work in a lot of departments, which are
Yes.
most of them are finance oriented in some way or the other. And as we know, RBI is the primary organization which is shaping the economy of our country. So that actually interested me a lot, that to be able to work and serve the nation in this way, in a very direct way in the finance field. That was my primary motivation.
Well, with that fantastic motivation, you dived into preparation. I think right in your MBA days and slowly including working full time and then slowly working, preparing while working as well. So tell us a little bit about your prep journey and how you, what was your strategy? What was your timetable? How did you approach planning it out and executing it so beautifully?
Right, ma'am. So I started preparing around from October last year. I enrolled in the gold course in EduTap, the phase one plus phase two combined course. But the wholehearted preparation started only after the notification was out in May. But again,
Right.
at that time I had just joined my job as management trainee in ICICI, so it was a bit challenging to balance both.
Yeah.
But again, I kind of divided my time. Like every day after office, I'd devote around 3 to 4 hours, and then on the weekends I'd maximize it like 10 to 12 hours over the weekends.
Brilliant.
The strategy was basically like, since I had some exposure to finance and management in MBA, which is the first paper, so I kind of covered that portion first before the phase one. And
Yeah.
3 weeks before phase one, I dived deep into the phase one syllabus, attempted the mock tests, kind of got to brush up my learnings. Then the mistakes which I'm making, and my quants was also a pain point, as I had told you. So I
Yes.
worked upon that before phase one, and then again after phase one, I dedicated myself to answer writing practices, attempting mock tests for phase.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I know that there is, especially when you're you have so many responsibilities, including balancing your work and life. You have been consistent throughout, which is extremely remarkable. Which I think a lot of the students who are trying to in their first attempt wondering, will I be able to do it with studies? Will I be able to do with maybe a job? Will they be able to handle it? And you are just the most perfect example to give to anybody like that. Um, like you mentioned, not every, in spite of you being from an MBA college, in spite of you being uh, at a premier institute after giving CAT, which is like the gold mine for quant reasoning in English, you still had a little bit trouble of quant. So how did you overcome that? What did you do to ensure that this particular pain point, as you mentioned, would not harm you in the actual exam?
Right, ma'am. So, in the initial mock tests of EduTap in the phase one, I found that my quants cutoff is not, sectional cutoff is not getting cleared. So, at that point, I kind of changed my strategy, that rather than trying to attempt all the questions in the quant section, I'll choose the topics, and
Right.
I'll prepare and brush up on only my strength points of topics of strength, and I'll attempt only those in the exam. I'll try to clear the cutoff comfortably, but not aimed so high that the negative marking pulls me back. So that was my strategy even in the phase one exam as well. I didn't score very high the cutoff in quant section, but I
You
think.
got what was needed. So
Right.
that is all that matters. Perfect. Now, see, I love your realistic approach, and I've seen you apply this everywhere in life. So far, the way you've handled your academics, your professional life, you've applied this realistic and slightly optimistic streak to everything you've done. Where does that come from? Does this optimism combined with a little bit of realistic approach and sensibility come from?
Right, ma'am. So, as I mentioned, during my internship time, I was desperately waiting for a call at the RBI, but I didn't make it. And then eventually I settled for something else. But from that point of time, which is around 1.5 years ago from now, I kind of changed my approach towards life. And I thought that there's a positive in everything. Let's try to get that. And God bless, after that change in mindset, things have been going good in my life. So, this optimism has helped me in certain ways, I'd say.
Right. So you've prepared from home, I believe, and so in during those times, I've seen you do marathon sessions and watch videos with your coconut water. So tell us something about your consistency and your family and how your support system helped you during this prep.
Yes, ma'am. So the especially before the phase two, I since I was also working, I decided to take a week long of leave. Immediately before phase two to manage the things and devote 12 to 15 hours per day before the phase two exam actually.
Right.
And at that point, my family was really supportive, right from getting everything at my fingertip to morally supporting. So my father, he is a retired Indian Revenue Service officer. He retired as the
Right.
Commissioner of Income Tax,
Yes.
and my mother, she is currently working in a government West Bengal government school. So they both understand how grueling cracking a government exam can be, and they
Certainly.
provided the right kind of motivation to me.
Wonderful. I know that there's also a little wonderful creature missing from the story. Tell us something about her.
Right, ma'am. So I had a pet cat who used to be by my side all through my preparation days, phase one, phase two interview even. But sadly, she couldn't make it to listen to my results. She passed away in November, but I feel that her presence, her blessings, her love has helped me in major ways.
I've seen the picture of your cat sitting with you as you're studying, and that is such a wonderful thing. You find emotional and um, eh, emotional support and social support from wherever you can get, and family tends to be that for most students. And it is remembering those everybody in whatever form who supported you that students tend to motivate themselves. But at the same time, I know that your mantra is discipline over motivation. Why is that?
Ma'am, because motivation, I feel that it comes, it goes. But if you are not disciplined, you will not be able to put in the right kind of effort. So just hard work is not enough. You need to work smart, and for this smart work, you need to have a disciplined approach. That I'll have to show up every day, no matter what, no matter the downs, the ups and the downs. So what I do is I'd chalk out a plan for the day in the morning, that this much I'll have to cover today. It's not that every time I would do 100% of that on each day, but I maintain that 60-70% and I return to it the next day. So I think that's the importance of discipline, and that helps you in the long run.
Perfect. Yes. And it clearly goes to show you that a lot of the times students tend to be under FOMO, fear of missing out of resources and uh, courses and materials available online. Too many, so many telegram groups have come up. So what would you say to that, because you've done this in a very limited amount of time with a full-time job, um, and you've done brilliantly at it. So what would you say to students who are wondering about whether what they're doing is right or not, and how would you say you restricted yourself? How did that help?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, my basic mantra was that treat every attempt as your last attempt. So, don't think that I have five, six more attempts left after this, because if you kind of think that, you will go into that zone. And
Right.
coming from this is the resources. So, you stick yourself to one or maximum two resources. Like maybe you take up a course and do the newspaper bit, and anything extra you might get from the newspapers. But don't go hovering around for resources over this Telegram channel over there. Even before the interview, so we get a lot of transcripts from
Right.
the people who have had their interviews before us. So don't get swayed away, don't get apprehensive from that what they're referring to multiple resources. I'm not able to answer these questions, so what will happen? these kind of fears creep in, but don't let them take the better of you. That's what I kind of followed throughout my journey.
Right. The practice was also a very important element for you. So you've taken consistently, you've used mock tests to improve your scores, to improve your understanding of how well you understand the RBI syllabus and previous year questions, etc. Tell us something about that. How have mocks helped you in all the stages of your exam?
Right, ma'am. As I mentioned before phase one, for the 3 weeks before phase one, I completely shifted to that. I attempted all the 10 mock tests which EduTap has provided, and I kind of worked upon my weaknesses.
Right.
Also, in the during the phase two before it, I attempted the full length mock test. Also, tried to attend the sectional mock tests as well, that the
Perfect.
answer writing purpose, and the habit of typing which you get from the mock test, that helps you on the D day, because that's a very long examination, about 5.5 hours.
Yes.
So by the time you come to the English section, which is the last, you are already drained out. So if you don't have that kind of practice of mock tests, it will be very tough to make it on that day. Similarly for the interview, ma'am. So the mock interviews, it's very important to let you know where you are missing out and what you need to work upon. So
Yes.
I kind of followed that.
Certainly. Certainly. So, in this journey you have had a little, you must have had some days where you felt that things are not going well, whether you will clear or not. Why did that arise and what did you do to overcome that?
Yes, ma'am. So before phase one, when my quants cutoff was not getting cleared, I
Hmm.
was very apprehensive. But as I said, my family, they said that give it your best shot.
Yes.
Don't think of it right now. Try to bank up on your strengths and get the best out of that. And even before phase two, in the initial mock test, I was not faring very well as I had expected. But then I just took the feedback from the mentors, from the faculty members, and just worked upon that. And I think that helped me in the actual exam.
Right. Well, this is a good takeaway that you can trust if you've taken a course and you've invested money into a course and you have felt that it has worked for you so far. It is important to trust your mentors, to trust the process, and to trust that you will grow. On the first day, it is obviously natural that students tend to have a little bit of scores fluctuating in the initial stages, but it is the process, trust the process and trust your instincts, as you rightly mentioned. Apart from that, I know that you've been uh, over a period of time, you've had a wonderful approach to the way you craft your life. So Kathak and poetry as your hobbies. I know that over a period of time during the prep and intense years, that might have taken a backseat. Do you have any plans for that anytime soon?
Yes, so in school I was Kathak trained, and then during the COVID times, I took a liking to write poetries, and I
Mm,
have few published on my YouTube channel as well. But after during MBA is a very hectic journey, and then thereafter I started working and full time preparing as well. So I
yes,
couldn't pursue my hobbies per se. But
yes.
yes, now that things are going good, I plan to make a comeback to my poetry writing still.
Sohini is a wonderful, wonderful writer as well, and everything that she's done has kind of shown me that what is the best way for a student to approach this exam. Sohini, is there something you would like to tell students, which you truly believe has helped you in the way you've approached this exam?
Right, ma'am. So, this for the students, I'd say that firstly have a confidence in yourself. That's very important. You'll have your lows, you'll have your high days, but it's that same thing, that discipline over motivation. You have to show up every day. You have to trust your sources and your instinct, and then you'll have to give the best on your D day, no matter what. That's it.
What do you aspire for now that you're finally here? What do you aspire for over the next 35 years? What do we see Sohini achieving in at the Reserve Bank or somewhere else, if that is what you intend?
So I plan to have my entire career over the Reserve Bank itself, and let's see how far I can go, or how far I can climb the ladder of promotions and stuff. So that's my aim right now, to give the best of my efforts in RBI and do the most I can of this opportunity I've got.
Right. So, your parents have anything to say about this brilliant fate you've achieved right in your first attempt?
Yes, everyone is very happy and proud. Everyone is congratulating me day in day out. That's what.
Well, there are our congratulations, and a lot of students and aspirants who are congratulations are with you. And thank you so much for sharing all of these wonderful tips and insights. We truly appreciate students who do things right the very first time, and they do it in such a beautiful way with an approach that is solid, an approach that is consistent, and your hard work has clearly paid off. We wish you all the very best and tremendous success, health, and happiness across your brilliant career that is awaiting you. Thank you so much for joining us, Sohini.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.